code provided by Crafton. The following review is not a pay-for advertisement by Crafton. The views in this video are mine and mine alone. From the team that brought you the Callisto Protocol, Redacted is a spin-off title from the same world. Instead of a survival horror game, this time it's a top-down roguelike mixing in shooter gunplay and hack-and-slash mechanics. While Striking Distance Studios' first project might have flopped, Redacted seems to be turning things around. The grindy and addictive nature of roguelites is not easy to achieve, as this project gives players plenty of tools and upgrades to look forward to. The combination of shooter and hack-and-slash gameplay makes Redacted so much fun to play. Bring in comic book cel-shaded visuals and you have a roguelite that will withstand the test of time. I played over 25 hours and about 60 runs. I didn't complete the game, but I got pretty damn close to it. Before I attempted my final run, there was still so much content to unlock if I kept playing. I have no history with the Callisto Protocol or Striking Distance Studios. I know the game was supposed to be a spiritual successor to Dead Space, but it did not hit the mark. On top of the controversies leading up to the release, like Glenn Schofield's tweet regarding crunch and the eventual layoff of 32 employees. Despite these marks, the PUBG Studios team moved forward to expand the Callisto Protocol world. Enter Redacted, initially called Project Birdseye back in March. According to the team, this isn't their next AAA game, but rather a passion project from a small team internally. This is their take on a fast-paced action roguelite. It received an official announcement in August and will launch later this week on Halloween. When I was approached to cover this game, I was taken aback by the visual presentation. I'm a sucker for cel-shaded comic book visuals, and the gameplay looked action-packed enough for me to check it out. After having my hands on it for a little over 2 weeks, I can say I had a fantastic time with Redacted. The story begins with a guard trying to escape Black Iron Prison. The goal is to reach the final escape pod, but there's other prisoners and characters in your way. You must play through numerous attempts as different guards to make your escape. A solid setup to get the players quote-unquote in the know before throwing the roguelike elements at you. Unless you're talking about Hades, the story in this genre is usually unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Playing as a random guard makes sense in a roguelite. I like the narrator setting the stage for everything going on. He'll throw in some funny humor into his dialogue, which can be hit or miss. Same goes for the rival characters that you'll run into. They all have different character tropes like a janitor, a retail store Karen, or a typical fat gamer bro. More about these rivals is revealed to us through these computer rooms, unlocking more details on their case file, but also makes fighting them much easier. They will randomly appear during a run if you happen to cross paths with them. At first, you'll definitely get your ass kicked and be playing to survive, but you will be able to eventually kill them once you unlock more upgrades. Once their entire case file is revealed and you defeat them, you unlock a key which leads to a secret run. Not to spoil what the run entails, but this is the game's hardest run ever. I highly recommend you upgrade everything pretty much as possible before tackling it. I'm assuming this is where the quote-unquote true ending is, but I failed my attempt. Because you are racing against these rivals, you're encouraged to complete rooms as fast as possible, to not only get to the escape pod first, but also fill the attack bar faster. It's a small mechanic that might bring the inner speedrunner spirit out of you. If a rival happens to reach the end before you do, a timer starts ticking down before the escape pod leaves. I died before seeing the timer run out, so I only assumed that your run ends there. Redacted is an action roguelite where the fast-paced nature comes from the combo of guns and melee weapons. As a roguelite, you're encouraged to play numerous runs before reaching the end to defeat the final boss. With each run, you'll collect different types of currency to unlock new weapons, suits, and other upgrades that'll make the game easier to play. The arsenal you hold is a lot more than one might expect. Obviously, you have your melee weapon and gun of choice, then the player has a dash to dodge incoming attacks. If enemies get too close for comfort, you can use the GRP to knock enemies back. You can also kick enemies too, which I found to be the most useless ability out of the bunch. It's never as useful as the GRP and way riskier to use. Maintaining a high HP is key to keeping each run alive, because the moment your health reaches 0, it's game over and you respawn in base. Here, you'll want to spend your currencies to unlock new tools for your next run. After clearing a room, you'll have a choice for the next reward that you'll receive. It can be credits to purchase upgrades during the run, contraband to unlock permanent upgrades in base, other types of currency, or an elemental upgrade that will enhance your weapons and abilities. Sometimes a mini boss room will appear that will grant more rewards, but a tougher encounter. High risk, high reward, it definitely plays into Redacted, and eventually, all the boss fights become a walk in a park with enough upgrades. With each new weapon unlocked, they will be stronger than the last. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Trying to stick to the assault rifle will only get you so far. Trust me, I tried. I fell in love with the atom beam gun because wiping out enemies is very easy while maintaining control. The weapons you unlock after this pack a ton and a lot of AoE damage, but it's not as much control compared to a regular gun, if you will. In addition, the sledgehammer was slow but dealt a ton of damage in return. I definitely tried to increase the swing speed as much as possible during my runs, but also increasing the range of the atom beam. Redacted, like most roguelites, is always a battle between the give and take. You can increase the power of your range weapon, but your melee weapon will be weaker in comparison. I definitely recommend you all in on a specific weapon depending on the upgrades you get. Don't 100% abandon one of them, but if you notice the game playing towards your range weapon, try to play into that and vice versa. During your run, a bar on the lower left corner will increase depending on how fast you clear each room. Once it's full, you can attack one of your rivals. It can be slowing them down or straight up doing damage to them. This becomes useful in not only stopping them from reaching the escape pod, but also when you eventually fight them, whatever health they lost stays there. So it makes the encounter a little bit easier. The game doesn't stop when you open this menu, so try to be in a safe spot when you try to attack your rivals. Although I was on like run 50 or so, the game was still challenging with enemies getting stronger and stronger. I began to strategize how I would start my runs and how I would switch my loadouts between each room. You can't simply play Redacted without thinking about your next actions. This is a roguelite where you have to strategize your playstyle and how you're going to advance from area to area. Especially when you start to collect the rival keys, you have to prioritize certain upgrades / rooms more than others. I had so much fun once I had a decent amount of upgrades unlocked. I wasn't a complete god, but felt like I had a fighting chance to reach the escape pod. Compared to when you first start, Redacted does a phenomenal job making the player feel gradually stronger with each run. As long as you read and understand what each upgrade does, you'll reach the escape pod in 20 to 30 hours. The comic book-like cutscenes are very charming. The panels dynamically shift between character movements and actions. The art style transitions very nicely into gameplay graphics. The game can run above 60 frames per second and never drops during gameplay. The game did crash a number of times whenever I transition into a new area. There was a patch about a week ago, so maybe that fixed some of the issues. Thankfully, the game does autosave at the start of each room. Other elements would be messed up, like missing audio during cutscenes or the rival character portrait being off-centered or straight up off the screen. The game has more polish than a typical indie game, but it's not perfect. As a newbie to the genre, Redacted was a blast to play. The top-down gunplay and hack-and-slash action never got boring, burning through hours of game time trying to reach the final boss and see what new upgrades would come next. The visual style is easy on the eyes. I love how the game expresses colors to make enemies and projectiles really pop. If you're into roguelites at all, you might think this game looks a little generic, I'm not gonna lie, but I can fully recommend Redacted to anyone looking for a roguelike in 2024. It has a solid gameplay loop that will get you sucked in for hours on end. I hope this rejuvenates confidence in Striking Distance Studios, possibly bring some of these gameplay philosophies into the Callisto Protocol 2 or whatever comes next for the team. Redacted launches later this week on Halloween for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X/S. It's priced at $22.49, which is honestly the perfect price point for a game like this. Thank you to Crafton for providing me early code for this game, and thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Put new videos up on Saturdays. You can follow me on social media at TV Gaming on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much everything. And you can check out my podcast called the Travis and Damien Podcast. We talk about games, movies, and anime every other week. And yeah, that is all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching this video once again. Now, see you guys next time with more videos.